This is Living Power with Dan Hurst.
You know, I remember, and I may have told this story before when I was in youth work. I remember being at one of the churches that I was serving at, and there was this kid that started coming to the youth group, and his parents didn't come to the church. He just started coming on his own. One of his friends invited him. He started coming to the church. This kid had never been in church before, and he started coming to our Bible study, and he got saved. And but he was still a kid. You know, I mean, he was just a kid, and he would come to church, and you know how kids dress. You know, they just dress so wrong. You know, they look like they're homeless. And this kid just dressed like other kids. He was just, he dressed like a slob. You know, he didn't dress like me, you know. But that was the way he was. That was just him, and he'd wear a hat. You know, he had a ball cap that he'd always wear. And by the way, I don't know what it is, but kids have to wear filthy ball caps. Have you noticed that? I've never understood. What is wrong with those kids? And this kid came to church like that, and I remember he sat down in church, and he came and sat down in a pew, and he slouched down in the pew, and he put his foot up on the back of the pew in front of him. And oh boy, some deacon came up and he said, "Son, this is God's house. We don't sit that way in God's house." And boy, the kid was like, what do I do? He says, "Take your feet off there and get your ball cap off. This is God's house." So the kid, he was like, okay. So he takes his ball cap off and he walked out. And it was months before he came back. Why? Minutia. Hey, would my preference have been for him not to sit that way and take his ball cap off? Absolutely. But compared to him being in church, I'm okay with that. I don't like the way he was sitting. I don't like the fact that he was wearing a ball cap. And listen, we see it in our own auditorium. You've seen it too. Kids, people come in here and they're wearing ball caps and everything, and I think, well, those people, they're just so wrong. Hey, listen, I'm glad they're here. And if they're saved, why don't we get excited about the fact that they're saved? They're saved for glorious eternity. Who cares how they're dressed? We're all going to be dressed differently in heaven anyway. The way I'm dressing right now, they're making fun of me in heaven. And you too. We're all going to be transformed. Let's celebrate the fact that we are eternal beings saved by the glory of God.
On behalf of Dan Hurst and the Open Class, we want to thank you for watching. We hope it was a blessing.